are going to look at Grok. What we're going to do is a full interface overview. This is for beginners, anyone who's new to Grok. This is a great way to get a full overview of the tool. Let's start with why Grok's different. Grok, I find, is the best everyday general purpose AI chatbot out there. It's also integrated with the X platform, which I find very handy for doing searches of X and real-time sentiment on whatever topic it is you're interested in. It will also include real-time data into its results, which is very helpful if you're doing research that requires up-to-date information to be part of the response. Grok excels at providing accurate information. It's still an AI at the end of the day, then you do have to verify the results and make sure that anything you take out of it and put out in the world is in fact true, but it does a good job overall. Let's start with looking at the overall interface here and the search bar. From here on the search bar, you have your standard field where you can enter your query, but you can choose from auto, which chooses either fast or expert mode. Fast for quick responses, expert, which will invoke the deep research if needed, depending on the query. And I'm currently on the Super Grok package, which does give me access to Grok 4.2. So I've turned that on, so we will be using that today. However, the free plan has very generous limits. In fact, I was using it for quite some time until I decided to move up to the Super Grok. Before we go through, on the left-hand side, you can see you can close this panel, reopen this panel. You can also click on private if you want your chat to be private, and it will not be used for training the models, will not be in your history. And we have the chat where we have the search bar. We have voice mode here, which you can use to speak to Grok instead of typing in your inquiries. But that I find works better on the mobile app. It works on the web interface as well, but for the most part, you'll find yourself using the voice mode when you're out and about and you need to ask some questions. And then the Imagine tool where you can make videos and images. We'll get into that. And then I'll go through some of the other items a little bit later in the video here, but let's start with a prompt. And before we put the prompt through, I want to go over a few things about prompt engineering in Grok. Let's go over the best practices. The prompt framework I like in Grok that I find works best is the 4-part structure. 1, your task. State your central objective clearly and completely. You include a desired role or persona directly at the start. If necessary, this is optional because Grok has a multi-agent system for generating your responses, so you don't necessarily need to identify the role, but in certain cases you can, and if it's a specific topic you're looking at. The context is very important with Grok. Provide essential background facts, data, documents, or constraints that should ground the reasoning and trigger appropriate tool usage. Guidelines inform Grok to think step by step, prioritize truth-seeking, remain concise, and the output format. Specify exactly how the final answer should be structured. Use bullet points, provide sections, or however you'd like it formatted. So let's put a prompt in that I've put together ahead of time here. I'm very interested in evolutionary psychology, something I read a lot about, and I've read quite a few books over the years, and I'm always looking for something new to get interested in and explore. I'm going to use expert for this. I'm going to paste in the prompt that I already put together, and you can see here we have our task: identify and summarize the most important evolutionary psychology books published since 2020 plus any upcoming releases. Context: emphasize empirical data-driven works grounded in evolutionary biology, behavioral genetics, or cross-cultural studies. Guidelines: maximal truth-seeking and accuracy. State uncertainties. Use web search and X search proactively to discover new titles, author interviews, and peer review status. Reason step by step before concluding. For each book, note main thesis and scientific rigor. The output format: numbered list, 1 book per entry with title, author, year, 1 paragraph summary, why it matters. Okay, so let's run that. Can see it's invoke the agents. Okay, that took just over a minute, and you have a detailed response here. Books that it's recommending: Evolutionary Psychology, The New Science of the Mind, the Oxford Handbook of Human Mating. That looks quite interesting. And we have 539 sources. You can keep on going in the conversation. You open this up here, you get the agents, Grok, who is the leader agent, and what's been assigned to all the agents. I have another video on on that on the channel that you can take a look at, which goes into more depth on how the agents work together, and then my own personal agent driver. Okay, now we will look at some of the settings. Before I jump into some of the other features, I think it's good to go through the settings available in Grok. So we'll go to settings, appearance here. You can have the system appearance, so it just based on the time of day, it'll be either light or dark. I like dark mode, but sometimes depending on what you're doing, the light mode comes in very handy, especially for writing. We'll stick with dark for now. Behavior, these are the settings I like. Enable auto scroll, enable the sidebar editor for code documents, which I will show you. I don't need Grok to notify me when it finishes thinking. I actually like watching it think, so I leave that off, but that's just me. We'll go to data controls. I let it improve the model with my queries, my prompts, documents I upload. I don't mind personally, but if you do, or if it's highly sensitive information that you're using, then you could turn that off. Personalize Grok with your conversation history. Now, I have not turned that on. I do use other tools where I do have that same functionality turned on, and sometimes I find, we all have different personas, different things we're interested in, different things we do, and sometimes it will mix your different personas together out in the world. You have your professional persona, you have your hobbies that you're interested in. Sometimes it pulls context of things that really aren't relevant into the conversations, and I can find that annoying sometimes, but I'm sure Grok was probably maybe the best at avoiding that, but I've decided to keep that off, and you'll see why, because with the projects you can set up in Grok and the agents you can create in Grok, you don't really necessarily need this. Allow chat link sharing. This is great if you have tasks set up and you want to send something to somebody, you can just forward them the link to an answer that you produced, and so they can see it. And allow not safe for work content. You're 18 plus, and you do have to put your date of birth into the account settings there. Now we'll jump back to customize. Grok is the default model. You can select between these. You can have custom instructions, you can have concise, formal. Socratic can be fun when you're doing educational type of work. Comprehensive, this will put together really long responses. I like formal. If you don't want anything, you just want the default Grok response style, then you don't click on anything. I have created my own agent as well, so you can create your own agents. I like electronic music. I'm also an electronic music producer on the side. Again, that's one of my many personas, many hats I wear. And when I do have time to myself, I like playing with music production software like Ableton and Reason. I wanted a specific agent just for me, and I named it Driver because I go by Ryan Driver out in the wild. I have it here as you are an expert electronic music producer. Expertise encompasses advanced sound design, arrangement techniques, harmonic and rhythmic theory applied to electronic genres. These are the genres I'm primarily interested in. I do a lot of research on AI music generators. There's always been AI in these digital audio workstations, or DAWs as they're called, but not the kind of AI we have now, the truly generative AI. Now you have a lot of AI music tools out there that can actually produce full tracks, and there's all kinds of audio artifacts and problems I find with them, but some of the results are quite impressive, and you can download the stems and play with them yourself in your DAW after the fact. I've put the same tone in my agent that I like using in the default agent Grok because I just want consistency. Here are the core rules I put for my agent: respond in clear, well-structured paragraphs and bullet points, never use emojis or informal contractions. So that was important for me. So you save your agent, and then it's part of the mix of agents that Grok will invoke depending on the inquiry you have. Now let's take a look at the Imagine feature. When you go on Imagine, you can see there's all kinds of videos already available for you to look at. You have your options down below here. You have image, you have the aspect ratio you want for your image. You can create a video, 480p resolution or 720, 6-second or 10-second video, and again the aspect ratio for your video depending on if it's for social media. Instagram, you would probably go the 9:16 aspect ratio. If it's a YouTube video like this, you would go 16:9 aspect ratio. So let's go to image. I'll actually throw in a prompt here and let's see what it produces. We're going to do a classic sunset. Let's see how it does here. You can see we have a lot of ideas here that is generated, and that's what I really like about Grok, and really create all kinds of variations just from one prompt. Let's say I like this one, the first one. You can click on more to create more images like the one you like. You click on more. I like this one here and I want to use it. I can download it, create a share link to share it with somebody, and you can save it here by clicking on the heart. You can give it a thumbs up or thumbs down. You can delete it, and you can also make a video if you'd like. So let's do that. Look at tasks in Grok. This is really handy to automate items that you want done for you on a daily basis. You don't have to time block and do the task manually every day. You can set up a task and have it done for you automatically. If I go here and click on tasks, here's some of the tasks I have going: a daily tech digest. I get all kinds of information on new AI tools, AI news in general, every day at 4:35 p.m. and I get it by email. I can click on the link in my email, open up Grok on my phone, for example, and I can read the daily tech digest at the end of the workday. I like to do that. And I have a TSX high volume breakout scan here that I use daily to see what stocks are positioned well to hopefully go up in value. You have to do your own due diligence after the fact. This is an AI system that is doing a great job automating work for you, but you do have to apply your own reasoning to the results before acting on them. And I have a weekly Canadian stock screening analysis that runs every Monday morning. You can see here it's got to receive a daily weather forecast at 6:30 a.m. That's actually quite handy. So I could go here. I want it daily. Let's change the location. I want it emailed and in the app at 6:30 a.m. I can test my task right now. This is the test. And this is exactly right. Windy, light flurries possible. Took about 2 minutes, but I don't need to run this now every day. I will get this task sent to me automatically in the morning. Now, of course, weather apps are a dime a dozen, and we all have the Weather Network or other types of weather apps on our phones already. So this really isn't a necessary task. However, you get the idea. That's the point here. So we'll close this. To create your own custom task right there, to create a task, you open it up and you can choose once, daily, weekly, monthly, yearly tasks. From here, you can choose if you want it just by email, you want it in the app only, or off for notifications, that is, and then you create your task. Now we'll move to projects. Going back to when we talked about prompt engineering and the settings for having Grok reference all the context of your entire search history, where I have that disabled, and it's for this reason. I have custom agents, I have custom tasks, I have custom projects, and Grok works great already with the 4-agent structure, default structure, plus any agents you add. So it's not really necessary to retrieve throughout your entire history. Projects can be found here. I'll click on see all. You can see the projects I have set up already. AI music tools, deep focus and concentration. I got a writing assistant here for evolution and electronic dance music, which is a side project I have going. I have some classic arcade games I've created because Grok actually can code for Toolsmith AI. Yes, I do use AI to help me with the channel. I have an AI business architect. I have some financial advice, momentum trading. When I'm looking up specific stocks or I want deep analysis on a particular stock, I'll use this project. YouTube channel ideas. So to create a project, click there. You put your project instructions there. You select your preferred mode for the project, and there you have it. It will add to the list of projects available. Last but not least, we'll look at files. If I click on files, this is the area of the interface where you can find files you've uploaded. For example, I was in a hardware store looking at humidifiers, and there was so much choice, I was overwhelmed. So I took a bunch of photos of the different humidifiers and uploaded them to Grok and said, give me a rating on this. Ended up buying one based on Grok's recommendations, and then I noticed that it saves them here in the files area. So from here, you have a little bit more to work with. So if I click on document, you actually have basic word processing available here within the document. You can start a conversation here, upload a file. Let's design a workout routine for beginners. So I can take this, copy it, and play with it if I'd like. Once you're ready to take the contents into your word processor, you can either copy the contents, download to a file, and you can open the chat back up here. Go back to files. Coding is also available, which is improving quite a bit. I'm not a developer, but I do work in technology, and I know lots of people who are developers. And right now, Claude AI is definitely the leader in that area, but Grok is starting to catch up. You can see all the different coding languages available. Let's say I selected Python. Same idea. Write a hello world program. Have it generate the code for you, and you can play with it here within the interface. So let's try write a hello world program. So I can copy that. Hello world, this is a Python program running successfully. Obviously a very simple application. If anyone's taken coding in high school, back in my day, this was the type of application you would first build. And there you have it. That's a full overview of the Grok web interface. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. Love to hear any thoughts you have or anything I may have missed about the tool. Stay tuned for more videos soon on the channel. Thank you.